Hey guys, this is Josh from Midnight Auto. Coming back to you because I wanted to show some appreciation to the toaster. My high mileage hero. Now, why would I say high mileage hero? Well, 289,000 miles, and it just did a 1,700 mile road trip, which I'd like to think is fairly impressive. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I just drove this thing down to North Carolina and back for its, I think, 6th or 7th time now. And it gets me home and it gets me here. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a review and see maybe what you guys think of it. You know, what's your high mileage hero? If you got one, drop it in the comments. I like to hear about other high mileage cars that you ain't afraid to take on a road trip. I really think it's something special. Once you cross that 200,000 mile mark, it's something to recognize. So let's give the toaster her a little bit of recognition. So stay tuned, I'll be right with you. Alright, I'm going to do a little walk around here. So, my story with the toaster. I picked this up at Copart almost 3 years ago now. This was my COVID project, believe it or not. And, well, since it's a Toyota, it took me about a week and I had the thing running, registered, and inspected. So, I decided, let's see how high we can run up the scoreboard on this one. And considering it had 262,000 miles on it when I got it. It didn't run, but it was literally just a the high pressure line was disconnected from the fuel pump, and that was it. That was at least what it took to get started. Now, when buying a car from Copart, you gotta realize that it's probably going to need some love. This one was not wrecked, at least not that the title shows. Now there's a lot of little signs that says otherwise, but it does have a clean title. And believe it or not, it's really been a pretty easy car to keep going. I put an exhaust system on it, I put tires on it, I put brakes on it. You know, I just brought it up to spec. I think, what was it, 270, 271, 272, somewhere in there. I put front wheel bearings in it. About another 4,000 or 5,000 miles later, I put rears in because they were both original. You know, so I mean, that means the original wheel bearings that held out for 270,000 miles. Motor does burn a little oil. Forgive me, there's a plane in the background. But it does burn a little oil now, which is okay. It's to be expected. But I haven't been afraid to take this thing on a road trip at all. Yep. Little bits of plastic that need reclip back on, which no big deal. But I just did 1,734 miles on this thing from Friday to Wednesday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 5 days, 1,700 miles. And guess what? Never gave me a lick of issue. Now, does it burn oil? Of course. But it's a Toyota. As long as you keep the thing maintained, they run. But I really wanted to bring you guys in and let you see something. Is these things always catch a bad rap. They catch a bad rap for being the toaster, the box, the Cracker Jack box. The brick is another one I've heard. Or, you know, the people who aren't quite sure of which one's which, they always ask me where the hamster's at, which that's the Kia Soul. So, you know, don't confuse us, please. We appreciate it, you know, us SCION guys. But it is a small car. It really, you know, it's the roomiest small car I've ever seen, though, because, you know, we're looking at it and we are seeing, you know, that it looks like it might fit a couple things in the back, but we're gonna blow your mind on this one here. So when I was down there, I managed to pick up a few things for the S10 from North Carolina. And yes, I got a full bench seat in the back there with room to spare. Got a radiator, picked up a carburetor for Jim in the 53. I got a Hurst shifter, and I've still got tons of room around this thing. And I know you guys have seen the short that I did where I had the 305 Chevy in the back of this. Now, did that sag it out? Of course. That's a lot of motor in the back of this. I did put first gen Toyota Prius springs in the back of this. That way it helps support the weight when I do put heavy stuff in. But let's take it for a ride and actually go down the road and let you guys see, you know, what dang near 300,000 miles gets you. Because I've owned it for almost 30,000 miles and I don't want to get rid of it. I can't. I'll put another motor in it. I don't care. It's a good little car. But let's hop inside and do a little tour of the inside. All right, guys. So here we are inside the toaster. And as you can see, speedometer is in one of the weirdest places I've ever had to get used to one, because I'm always used to dash light being right here in front of me. Which, you know, it's almost like one of those Indiglo watches when you turn on the lights at night, the backlight. It's just so soft that you can see it real easy. The other nice thing too is having this flat dashboard in front of me allows me to have my little foam prop. That way I can have my GPS or anything in front of me and it sits nice and level. I'm not worried about balancing on a curved dash. Still has its factory radio, which I got one of those little FM converter things to work with my Bluetooth. Anti-theft, you know, old car stuff. And I did realize that the muffler is going to need warrantied out, which I've got the new one. I just got to put it on. It decided that after 2 years of Northwest Pennsylvania winters that it rusted a little bit and it decided to become disconnected. So you will hear a little of that, but we're not going to pay attention to that right now. We're just going to go through and we're going to drive it. So we have 252,000 miles on this thing. And it takes a little longer to start, you know, compression's getting a little lower. But I mean, honestly, this little car, you drop it in gear and you just go. And it's such a roomy vehicle. Like, I'm 6'4". I have enough room that if I want to, I can wear a Abe Lincoln hat in this thing if I really so choose. Or, you know, I can, you know, it makes me have to reach out to the other side. I have a lot of room. And in the back, when I have the back seat up, if I have a passenger, I can have my seat all the way back and their knees don't touch my seat, which I'm not used to. You know, being a tall guy, my seat is always as far back and as far down as it possibly can be. And that's normally what gives me enough room under here where I don't feel like I'm cramped up on the wheel or I'm gonna eat anything from the dashboard in an accident. But right now, we're just going around the neighborhood and really, these aren't meant for high speed. You know, anybody who likes to say their SCION XB, you know, they've done 100 and whatever mile an hour in it. I've taken this one up to the top. I wouldn't want to do it again. It's a very short car with a very small wheelbase. So if you're doing that fast in one of these, it's not the most comfortable thing. I've got other vehicles that are meant for cruising like that. This one is not. This one is about maximization of space. And that's essentially what it is. It's a box. Every square inch of the inside of this thing is a usable room, which I really enjoy. It's such a nice car to drive. It's road manners at, you know, interstate speeds or surface road speeds are great. It's easily maneuverable. It's easy to park. And, you know, like, driving around, it's very, very maneuverable. You know, we get on a little bit of a twisty road here, and guess what? I can just keep going on the twisty road. It doesn't notice anything. I mean, we're doing 40 mile an hour, and it just handles the curves. It's a great vehicle, and you know, after many drives back and forth from North Carolina to Erie, I really wanted to bring everybody in on what it's like to drive one of these, what it's like to own, because you know, a lot of people, they know of these cars, but they don't really know much about them. And yes, that's Florida. That's it. That's all we got. There's not a lot of power. It never had a lot of power to begin with. These things, when they were new, were 105 horsepower. That's it. Shiny, off the brand new, off the showroom floor, 105 horsepower. Which, in a car that weighs like 2,500 pounds, really isn't much. You know, well, it's not bad. The power to weight ratio, it's not a race car. As much as, you know, when the original ads came out, they would have wanted you to believe. But the other thing too is, when these came out, these were the ultimate a la carte car as well. Like, you want 20-inch wheels? Check the box. You want a banging sound system? Check the box. Body kits, spoilers, decals, everything. Just check the box. Add it into your payment, which really wasn't that big. I think these things, when they were brand new, they were 14 grand. Which, try finding a $14,000 entry-level economy car today that is going to last to the almost 300,000 mile mark. You're not. I mean, a lot of this stuff like that is throwaways. It's kind of like Mitsubishi Mirages, or I'm trying to think of anything else that's in that category, because even the Honda Fit now has grown past that, or any of the little baby Toyotas, they've grown past that now. So for value for money, you know, this thing sold new for what a lot of used cars are selling for today, and it lasts way longer. It's way roomier, and it's a blast to drive. Like, I really do want to take this thing and do autocross with it once, just because it is so small and it's so maneuverable that I really think that it would be a fantastic drive. And just, it wouldn't be fast. I mean, you're not going to set any records doing it, but it's a good handling car. And in the wintertime, it's so light, you put 4 snow tires on it, it dang near floats over everything that you drive over. It doesn't really get stuck or bogged down in snow. It's just a treat to drive. And after spending, you know, 10 hours a day driving it down to North Carolina, 10 hours a day driving it back to North Carolina, multiple times, I kind of figured I wanted to bring you guys in and see what I see. Get to love the Toaster, because it really is a vehicle that, if you need a third car, you need something just to knock around, you need a beater with a heater, this is one of those things where you're not driving some little hoopty economy car. You've got so much room to haul so much stuff, but nobody asks you to help them move, and that is a beautiful thing. It really is. And I'd really like to think that the styling itself has aged very well. It's a box. You can't screw up a box too much. It's just a nice thing to look at. It doesn't offend anybody. It's not a style that 10 years from now is going to be looked upon and be like, oh God, what were they thinking? It's, you know, it's a very nice car. I really wanted to bring you in. It's, as far as controls, it's the basics. You got heat, you got fan, you got where you want it to blow out. You got AC, you got rear defroster, we got hazard lights, we got recirculation, we got fresh air vents, we got our little spoolie heating ducts, which, unlike Pontiac, where these things will actually become little propellers and you'll watch them blow around, these are actually still very firm, and they stay where they're directed, which a lot of these wear out, and next thing you know, you end up with a roller ball that when you turn on the heat, you can actually watch it sit there and spin at like 50 RPM. It's got a bunch of little storage pockets in it. It's got cubbies over here. It's got a glove box. And like I said, the big thing is getting used to the fact that there is no dash light that comes out from in front of you. It's all just the little gauge cluster up there. That's it. And I mean, what more can I say? I have an appreciation for this car, and it's been earned. It's not something that I wanted one of these back in high school. In high school, I wanted something fast, because that's what I do. I like fast cars. So the older I've gotten, I think it has allowed me to appreciate what this is a little more. 16-year-old me probably would have looked at it and said, well, let's do a 1.8 swap. Let's do a 2.4 swap. Let's throw a turbo on it. If it was something I ended up with, which I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have ended up with like a 4th gen Camaro or something like that. Or even a 3rd gen. I would end up with something like that. Or I had an 80s Mopar. I had an 86 Dodge Charger Shelby Edition. And that was a really cool car, especially for its size. But this, now that I'm a guy coming up on 40, pretty close, I appreciate the room. I appreciate the storage. I appreciate being able to haul people. The reason I take this down to North Carolina every time is because I take my daughter trick-or-treating every year, because I like to be a good dad. And for me, it's easy to have my daughter get in and out of the back seat, get in and out of the car easily, hop both sides, because, you know, we go down to the fancy neighborhoods down there and we go trick-or-treating because she likes candy and I like her to get candy. But I have enough room. It's a small car. It's something that I can take through those little neighborhoods, and it's maneuverable. I can get out of the way if there's somebody that needs by. And it's not a coupe like my Monte Carlo. If I were to take my Monte Carlo down through those neighborhoods, I'd have to fold forward and let her out. Or my daughter's mother, she'd have to fold forward and let her out. And, you know, coupes are great when you're just driving around. Sedans, they're good. They're practical, a little bit of everything. To me, this is kind of like the micro SUV, which is what it's designed for. In Toyota, or this car in Japan is known as the Toyota BB, which over there is a delivery van. And not just a delivery van, but it has a column shifter instead of our console shifter. Comes with a bench seat. It just comes with a bunch of basic stuff, because that's what it is. It's a basic delivery van. So over here, we treat it as something comically small, but it really isn't. And it's a very usable car. And if you find one on the used car market, by all means, pick it up. Seriously, the lower mileage it's got, the longer a life it's got, as long as the body's worthwhile. And that's the only thing I've noticed up here in Northwest Pennsylvania in the Rust Belt. I just went through and put rockers on it. I've had to weld the frame. I've had to do a little work to it, and it's not anything that's against Toyota. It's everything that's against how cars are kept up here, you know? In the Rust Belt, you have a car, you don't have it forever. You enjoy it while you have it, because eventually if you drive it all year long, it rots out. And that's the tragedy of the situation. But I'm sure you got it. Alright guys, so that's been a little walk around of the SCION XB. I kind of just wanted to bring you in and do a little review of this. If you liked what I've done with this review, please drop a comment in the comment section below, and I will gladly do more. I have more than a few vehicles to do, and I would enjoy doing more for you. But for now, this is Josh from Midnight Auto Repair saying thank you very much for staying to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. I know this is a little different than most of the stuff I've been doing. I promise next week I'll get back on the S10. But I kind of wanted to give the SCION here her moment of glory. So, like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys all next week here on Midnight Auto.